guys, welcome back to RV Tips and Travels. I'm excited about this one because we are dewinterizing, which means we are about to get out on the road. The firewood has been chopped and stacked, and we are happy to have you along with us to dewinterize our trailer. I will suggest that you watch the entire video all the way through at least once before you start the process. That way you have an idea of which tools you'll need and how long each step and the total process is going to take. Now on my RV, I do have a standard panel, and I'll be showing you how to dewinterize using the standard panel. But if you have a more complex panel like the Nautilus system, you can still use this video to dewinterize. You'll just have more switches to configure than a standard panel. So let's get into the dewinterizing video. The first step involves just a couple things you need to do to get your camper opened up. If you need to reinstall your battery, go ahead and do that now. You want to make sure that your shore power is connected. If your battery kill is engaged, you want to disengage that, which means your battery power is now running through the RV. And you want to open all your slides so that you can get everywhere you need to get inside the RV. The next thing you're going to do, depending on whether or not you leave your water heater drain plug out, I do leave mine out when I winterize, but I do put a paper towel in there just so nothing can really crawl in my tank and cause any issues later. I do want to mention real quick, guys, what you see here is a cleaning wand for your water heater. If you haven't in the past or didn't clean out your water heater when you winterize, this is a good time to do it. Now that's a whole nother video in itself, but all you do is you hook this up to a hose, stick it inside your drain, and let it brush around some water inside. It can clean out any calcium that may build up in your water heater. Next, you just want to go ahead and put your drain plug back in your water heater so that's plugged up. It's pretty easy if you just use a ratchet extension to get in there. A lot of these plugs are 24 millimeters or 15/16. And guys, you don't have to put this in really tight. It is a plastic plug. Just tighten it so it's snug. And when you fill it up, if you don't have any leaks, you're in good shape. The next thing I do is clean the screen at my water hookup. So where you hook your hose up, if you pull all your attachments off of there, you'll see there's a little screen in there. You want to take that out, clean it up a little bit. You may see some grime on there from the different water supplies that you use. Mine's pretty clean this year, but in a past video that I did notice that it was pretty dirty, so I ended up cleaning that off. Once you're done cleaning that off, just put it back in and we can move to the next step. The next step we're going to do is open up the fresh water tank drain. Now this RV has been sitting winterized all winter, and you're gonna see water come out of the bottom of the tank just a little bit. But remember that, because that's why I do this next step. Set up your valves at your connection panel to fill your fresh tank. The very next thing I will do is hook up fresh water to my RV and run it through the line into the freshwater tank. Even if you blow your lines out with compressed air, which I do, you'll still have a little bit of water from last year in those lines, and you may have some in your tank. And as you do this, you'll notice that if you look underneath your trailer, you'll see water coming out of your freshwater tank immediately because we just recently opened that valve. I'll just run water through here for about 30 seconds just to get a good flush. Also, this is a good time to shut your water off. Switch your valve over to city water and repeat the flush process through the city water line. Moving on, the next thing you want to do is go back and close your fresh water tank drain. Okay, so now before we start pushing the antifreeze out of the plumbing system, there's a little step that I like to do that I'm going to show you guys that I don't think a lot of people are doing. It's not really necessary to dewinterizing, but I like to do it anyway. So I'm going to pull this drawer out real quick. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to access the water pump and the antifreeze hose. What I like to do before I just start flushing all the water out is actually run some water through this hose, because there may still be some antifreeze in this hose. It's probably not going to leak out, and I'm probably overthinking it, but I like to get the antifreeze out of this hose. There's also a valve down here that separates the antifreeze hose from the rest of your freshwater system. So what I want to do is I want to push some water through this hose, through that valve, so that there is literally no antifreeze left in this part of the system. So if you winterized your RV last year, you've probably left that valve set to winterize mode. And an easy way to determine this is the location of the handle. If the handle is pointing up towards that white antifreeze hose, then that's where the flow is going to come from. So we want to make sure we're still in winterize mode so we can flush everything through this white antifreeze hose, through that valve, and out to the pump. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video, please do us a favor and hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more of our videos, click that red subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. So all you're going to do is just get a bucket, put some water in it, take the cap off of your winterizing / antifreeze hose and put it inside that bucket. Turn on your water pump and you'll hear that water pump starting to suck the water from this bucket and prime the system, okay? So what I like to do is just open one faucet. You'll see the antifreeze come out. Now you don't have to do this for every single faucet. Just one is fine. Once you see all the antifreeze is out, you can go ahead and shut that valve off. Again, this step isn't necessarily mandatory, but I just don't like leaving any antifreeze in the system. So we are done with the winterizing hose at this point in time. You can go ahead and cap that back up, put your hose away, and the last thing you want to do is you want to make sure that that antifreeze hose doesn't have access to the water pump. You want to shut that antifreeze hose off. So I'm just going to switch this valve over so that it's in line with the hose going down into my water tank. Now we don't have any antifreeze in here and any lingering antifreeze in this valve. Okay guys, so we're almost at the point where we're going to start pushing the antifreeze out of the system and getting it filled up with fresh water. Another thing you want to do at this point in time is sanitize your freshwater system. So we can push the antifreeze out and sanitize, doing two processes using one step. So to make a cleaning or sanitizing solution for your freshwater tank, you can refer to your owner's manual. I'm sure some manufacturers have different methods or different solutions, but a universally accepted solution is a mixture of bleach and fresh water. In the Grand Design owner's manuals, they'll tell you to use a 1/4 cup per 15 gallons of fresh tank capacity. So I'm gonna break that down and make it real easy for you guys. A 1/4 cup is 2 ounces. 2 ounces for every 15 gallons breaks down to 1 ounce for every 7.5 gallons of water tank capacity. So here is an easy calculation to determine how much bleach you will need to mix with water in your freshwater tank. You're just going to take the capacity of your tank. Mine is 52 gallons. You're going to divide that by 7.5, and that number will tell you how many ounces of bleach you'll need to put in your freshwater tank. However, before we start running a bleach solution through the water system, it's very important that we make sure that our water heater is still in bypass mode. Bleach is caustic and corrosive to metal. The liner on the inside of our water heater is made of metal. So we don't want any bleach going into our water heater. So what we're going to do right now is just access the water heater and make sure that the valves are still in bypass mode, which means all the water running through your RV is not going to go into your water heater. The water heater in the Grand Design Imagine 2150 RB is underneath the kitchen sink countertop, so we're going to access that by pulling out the drawer. Now I'll explain how this setup works more in detail when we get to the part where we're switching these valves back over to normal operation or summer mode, whatever you want to call it. But for now, you want to find the 2 lines that are going into your water heater. Here's one. This is your hot line, and this is your cold line. You want to make sure the valves are perpendicular to the line. So this valve is going this way, up and down, and the line is going this way. So they are perpendicular. That valve is closed. Same with the bottom valve. It is perpendicular this way, up and down. The line is this way, perpendicular. They're both closed, which means you're not going to get that bleach solution in your water heater tank. Now I'm going to freeze this video because it's going to be hard for me to get my arm back here at this middle crossover valve without blocking the camera. But what you want to do is make sure that this crossover valve is open, so it should be parallel with the line. So now we know our water heater valves are still in bypass mode, which means we can move to the next step. When using bleach, you want to make sure that you use a pure bleach. Don't get anything with dyes or perfumes in it. Make sure you use 100% pure bleach, something similar to this. Now, before you go ahead and start just pouring pure bleach into your gravity filled drain, you should dilute it a little bit. For every 2 ounces of bleach, you should dilute that in 1 gallon of water. I'm using 7 ounces of bleach, so I'm gonna dilute it into this 5-gallon bucket. I got about 4 gallons in here now, which is more than what's recommended. After you have put your sanitizing solution into your freshwater tank, go ahead and fill your freshwater tank up the rest of the way. Turn on your water pump. Now we can start pushing the antifreeze out of the faucets and getting our bleach solution through the faucets. So what I do is I open each faucet and I will do hot and cold individually. You want to let that run until you see the pink antifreeze clear out. So I have a kitchen sink that I'm going to do. I also have a bathroom sink, hot and cold. I'm going to do those separately. Here's a little tip for when you guys do your shower. Make sure you take your shower head off the wall and either hold it close to the drain on the floor of the shower or put it inside the toilet. If you don't do this, you're going to get antifreeze everywhere. Also, don't forget to do your toilet. Any faucets on the outside of your RV, whether they're spray ports or outside kitchen faucets, you want to make sure you run the antifreeze through those as well. And last but not least, it's a good idea to open your low point drains to make sure there's no antifreeze in there as well. Next, turn off your water pump. Now you've got the bleach or sanitizing solution through the entire system. Let that sit in the tank and in the lines for about 3 to 4 hours. After that, drain your freshwater tank, fill it up with fresh water only, run that through all the lines one more time to get that sanitizing solution out. Now we're ready to switch the valves over into normal mode. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the hot line and make that handle for that valve parallel with the line. That will allow flow through that valve. Same thing with the cold side down here. Switch that valve so it's parallel with the line, and that means the valve is open and you'll have flow through there. You also have a crossover valve here that you're going to want to close. So to close a valve, it needs to be perpendicular with the line. So this line goes straight down and up, and the valve goes forward and back. So this valve is closed. This valve is open, this valve is open. Once the water heater valves are put back into normal operation, the plumbing part of the dewinterization process is finished. While you're doing all this, be mindful of what's going into your gray and black tanks. You shouldn't even be close to getting them filled up. You are gonna now have some antifreeze in your tanks and fresh water with the bleach solution in your tanks. So now's a good time to get all that dumped out if you can. Fortunately for me, I have a septic system at my house that I can legally dump into. Keep that in mind, that that's something you're gonna need when you dewinterize, is to empty those tanks. So now we are dewinterized, but I have some more videos to make, so I will see you guys next time.